Hi, my name is Dr. Monica Barrat. I'm a Senior Research Fellow at RMIT University in Melbourne, in Australia, and I'm also the Executive Director of bluelight.org, which is one of the oldest harm reduction communities. So thank you for the opportunity to present this work to the INCB and to the public. We really appreciate it. So this presentation is about drugs in an increasingly digitised world, the challenges and opportunities. So first I want to set the stage for understanding drug use in this increasingly digitised world. It's clear that in 2023, we live in a world that is saturated with digital and network technologies. For most of us, connectivity, what we used to call the internet, is so ubiquitous it no longer needs naming. Always on and moving with us everywhere we go. This change, which has occurred gradually over the decades since the 1990s, has affected everything in our lives, and drugs are no exception. So now I wanted to offer an overall mapping of some of the challenges and opportunities arising from digital technologies and platforms. These are presented in a 2x2 table. So first, the challenges and opportunities of how drug practices are shaped by digital technologies, and then the challenges and opportunities in how our responses are also shaped by digital technologies. So on the question of how drug practices are shaped by digital technologies and some of the challenges, firstly, clearly there are the sales of drugs through these digital platforms, increasing their availability. This includes pharmaceuticals, novel psychoactives, and then more recently prohibited substances through darknet markets, as well as social media and messaging apps. We also have increased access to information about the manufacture of illegal drugs, increased access to drug use, content that can be glorified, and this might increase demand. The use of digital platforms as an advertising medium, which is less regulated than traditional media, and the difficulty of verifying information available via digital platforms, which might be inaccurate and then could result in increased harms if acted upon. However, there are a number of opportunities. These include the availability of moderated digital communities where people with lived and living experience of drug use can more easily share their expertise for the purposes of harm reduction. There's also access to supportive digital communities where people who use drugs can avoid stigma while still being able to engage and connect with other like-minded people. In many ways, digital technologies have flattened the power balance on who can publish and share information, and underground knowledges about harm reduction can be more easily published and shared. On the question of how our responses to drug problems are shaped by digital technologies, some of the opportunities include the increased capacity to access hidden or hard to reach populations through digital methodologies for research, interventions and treatment, and the use of digital technologies to deliver treatments and interventions, increasing the reach of our response to drug problems. The increased ability to monitor drug trends through accessing digital archives, leading hopefully to more responsive interventions and policies. And a further opportunity that is that of being able to better engage community and policy making through utilising digital communication and publication tools. Indeed, today's session is an example of such an opportunity. And in terms of the challenges that this poses for the sector, digital interventions will not be suitable for all of the varieties of people who use drugs. Researchers, workers and policymakers may use digital technologies to respond to drug problems without adequate cultural and technical competence, and this can do more harm than good. And the fast pace at which digital technologies change. So by the time the sector has become familiar with a new technology and is able to use it effectively, newer technologies may be favoured by the target group for research, intervention or treatment. So now I'd like to walk you through some examples of the use of digital technologies in the drugs area, noting some of the challenges and opportunities arising from each. So the first example I've called the digital drug market ecosystem. And this ecosystem includes the darknet markets, which you can see an example of here of the early Silk Road. And these are accessible via Tor and rely on encrypted technologies and currencies. And it also includes normal websites, messaging apps, and other digital platforms that facilitate drug trading. So there's no doubt that the use of these tools is a challenge to supply reduction. However, this ecosystem also offers the promise of better community regulation of supply practices through review and rating systems, and access to harm reduction information right in the same communities where drugs are sold. So just an example, we can see here, this is a graph from 2014 all the way through to now of the myriad different darknet markets that have arisen and fallen away. We can also see here just one example of how in these markets vendors can actually distribute harm reduction material. This is some testing of a product using reagents. And here's just an example of a messaging app where you can buy drugs, or at least you could in 2021. This televan is no longer available. So for traditional darknet markets, researchers have unprecedented data on drug markets available to them, looking at what kinds of drugs are available, prices, and even discussions among members. And this extra information, like some of the stuff you can see here, can help us understand drug market trends and better respond to them. However, darknet markets have experienced volatility, and there is a movement within this ecosystem towards encrypted messaging apps, many of which cannot be as easily monitored. So the second example is digital harm reduction tools and communities. In the earlier days of the internet, the democratising capacity of websites saw a rise in digital communities where people could discuss drugs and share drug experiences. And one example is the website that I help manage, which is Blue Light, which you can see here. But now, most digital content is mediated through commercial platforms, Facebook, TikTok, etc. These platforms have to manage the problem of people using them to sell drugs through enacting various strategies to ban drug-related content. But in this process, tools that can be used for harm reduction are typically denied as well. For example, many organisations have attempted to register harm reduction apps via the Apple App Store and have been unsuccessful. Some excellent apps do exist, for example, the No Drugs app, developed by a collaboration of European drug checking services, and others are looking to use new generative AI, e.g. ChatGPT technology, to develop apps that assist and support people who use drugs. This example here is MindHealBot. So digital harm reduction tools and communities like this can assist clinicians, researchers and policymakers. They offer a way of ethically engaging with lived experience communities directly and without those people having to be identified if they wish to remain anonymous due to prohibited nature of drug activities. So to conclude, all technologies can facilitate or inhibit human practices and behaviours in specific ways. That is, there's no one utopia or dystopia due to technologies in the drug space. Both challenges and opportunities arise that we need to understand and adapt to and utilise if we are to reduce drug-related harms globally. Thank you.